Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the weekly Wind Up. This is a show that we have out on Zwift with one guest all week, as well as all the things that are currently going on Zwift this week. It's been a little while since we've had this program, but we're going to be getting it going on a weekly basis from here on out. So let's get right on into it. Now, we do have chat up. I'm getting the social media integration going, and we will have the option for all of you to interact directly with the broadcast. So if you do have questions or comments, because this is a community program, community chat, it's going to be all about bringing those in as well to interact with us here on the broadcast as we bring in the topics. We do see the chatter coming in already as Lewis is hanging out. Allison's here. Greg is here as well. I can see over at the Facebook chat. I am also watching our Mixer channel as well as our Twitch channel, so make sure to be hanging out at those places if they're your favorite platforms, and we'll bring in the chat over there as well and bring your questions and comments for the weekly Wind Up. So let's get right into it. What is on the show? The first thing that we're going to be chatting about today is going to be the new opt-ins with the Zwift API. You can opt in over at my.zwift.com. Some of you might not know that actually exists, my.zwift.com. It is the place where you can actually opt in for Zwift Power now, CVR World Cup, as well as Zwift GPS. The way you can go ahead and do that is head on over to the website. This is actually my Zwift.com. And this I've actually already opted in for this. You can actually opt back out if you want. This is also the section where you're able to connect Strava, Training Peaks, Today's Plan, Fitbit, Garmin, Techno Gym, all those kinds of things. I'm going to go ahead and show you Zwift GPS. Hit that opt-in, and then it takes you on over to actually your regular page for your My Zwift. Now, here's the thing. It has opted you in. Just so you know, when you hit that button, right, it has opted you in. It takes you over to that page, and you're like, oh, wait, I should get a verification or something, or, what's going on with this? It does actually opt you at that point. It just brings you on over to your My Profile, just so you guys know. Next up, what else is happening this week? Something that's really starting to take off for the Australian market is the chop racing. It's a weekly handicap race, or a cat and mouse type race, 7:10 p.m. AEST down in Australia. It looks like they actually have a sponsor now. It is gonna be live every week. It looks like last week Johnny and Wes were on it. I think Jesper and Wes are on it tomorrow here on Zwift Community Live. So make sure to be checking that out. We actually have a highlight from 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And as you can see, the A's here are just catching on to the back of the C group, and it is a race for the D's, the C's, the B's, and the A's to all try and catch each other. So the D's start first, the C's come up second, then the B's go, and then the A's. And they're all separated about a certain amount of time that works for that specific course. So on the London Classic here, they were caught with, I think, about a lap, maybe 2 to go. So I think they're going to try and change the timings up a little bit there. But the chop racing, really cool racing. We're going to talk more about with our guest here in just a little bit, but definitely starting to blow up. One other thing that's going on that's kind of interesting is that Zwift acquired Milestone Sports, actually. Super interesting that this took place, because we've heard some talk about software, not hardware. So with that purchase, actually, there was a little bit of announcement, and it says that from Milestone, actually, on their Facebook, it said the second announcement is that Zwift Incorporated, the leading global online training platform, has acquired the commercial rights to manufacture and distribute Milestone pods. So this is specifically toward running. These are the pods right there, as you can see there, that are used for running out on Zwift. Milestone pods have delivered real-time data to Zwift running platform since its soft launch in early 2017. Zwift sees our devices as critical to the growth of their running platform. We are delighted to become part of their team, so together we can optimize the Zwift run experience and our pods. Keep an eye out for more information about new football developments from Zwift. So interesting, maybe getting into a little bit of the manufacturing or some hardware and stuff. So cool little image there actually about what's happening with that. And that was actually announced on, well, we saw the announcement on Facebook. That's why I was able to catch up with that on Zwift's Facebook. They shared it up over from Milestone's Facebook. So as we get into the weekly windup, though, every week we do have a guest that comes on, and this week we do have with us none other than the admin, Karissa, Mrs. Karissa Min here, and there's her and Mark in their Zwift shirts, actually long time Zwifters, and I'm really glad to have Karissa here with us. Karissa Min, OG Zwifter, community moderator. Good to have you here. Karissa, how are you doing today? And welcome to the program.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Really good. Chat is definitely excited, I think, to have you here as well, as we have a few tuning in that are real familiar, I think, with at least with you online. Karissa, I want to do a little intro to those who don't know who you are. You've done a lot in the background of the Zwift community that I think a lot of people don't know about. They, maybe see you here and there in the forums. There's this hashtag almost at this point, meme, calm down, Karissa, because you tend to be a little bit active on the forums a lot of times with some of the topics that do come up. But let's talk a little about, first of all, how long you've been Zwifting for. How did you first get into Zwifting?
I believe I joined Zwift in August 2015. It was actually my husband who got involved with Zwift first. He, yes, actually, he
That's an inside
he
joke
joined, I
for
think,
those of
in
you who
the
don't know, because Nathan says actually so often, and Karissa, in one of her calm down Nathan moments, let Nathan know, hey, can you just stop saying actually to me all the time in our posts? So definitely a history there. Let's go ahead and bring in that picture though
yes,
quick here over in Richmond there, it
yes.
looks
We
like.
I saw that the Richmond course was coming up, and my husband Mark had been on that Zwift for I think since the previous year, and I just was never that interested. I thought it was a cool idea, but um, then I saw they were coming out with the Richmond course, and I knew that we were going to see the UCI World Championships there in the fall. And I said, "Hey, that'll be cool. I could ride it, and then we can ride some of it in real life." And um, I figured I'd just try it, and that would be that, and maybe I'd do it every once in a while. Um, and no, I was hooked. I was on a dumb trainer, a classic trainer, no power at first,
So Zwift,
and
so
then
so
just went from
Richmond
there.
got you on Zwift? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
Like, no.
I know, it's everybody's favorite course, uh, so it's easy to understand. No, I just thought the idea of being able to ride something in a virtual environment and then going out to see the race in person and ride. We actually rode up Libby Hill, and my time was, I don't know what it was, but it was within 2 seconds of my time on Zwift, which I thought was interesting.
Nice.
And I could not get up 23rd Street at that time. So I do plan on going back and doing that again. It is no joke. But yeah, it was a lot of
But you have
fun.
gotten up on
And
Zwift. You have gotten up on 23rd Street on
yes,
Zwift.
lots and lots of times.
We actually have Lewis Dinsdale coming in saying, no way, Richmond lover, with some laughs coming in there
Yes,
as well.
yes.
So how is then, it sounds like Zwift has influenced your cycling journey. And it sounds like, from what I know of your background, your cycling journey has actually come alongside of Zwift in a little bit of ways.
Yes, I had been riding a little bit again with Mark. And we like to ride a tandem. I didn't get you a picture of that. I should. Um, and but this really gave me the confidence to go out on my own more, and it helped me to get stronger and to build that strength, um, to go off and challenge myself, and I did a couple of metric centuries the following year, and then there was a hilly metric century, and that's where this picture is from, the Bookwalter Binge that's here in North Carolina, um, run by Brent Bookwalter, pro racer. And I thought, hey, I'll do that. It's a good challenge. We went and scoped out one of the hills. We reconned the course, and it was really, really steep, and I was kind of scared. And I just kept training, and this picture is of me getting over that hill to the timing cone that they had set up. And it's silly because I'm so far behind. I'm not winning anything, but I just had to do that fist pump because I made it up, and
But I
I
think
could
that's,
not have imagined myself doing that before.
you know, whatever. It's all our own accomplishments, really. Even when we're competing with other people at a high level that's recognized, or whatever level it might be, it really is you fighting yourself to get better, though. You know what I mean? It's you
Yeah.
continually trying to challenge yourself to get better. And, you started Zwifting, and then I've noticed, I've been watching a little bit here and there about your posts and what you're talking about and what you're up to with racing. And, well, it wasn't racing to begin with. You were doing this time trial thing, kind of up, not really caring about the
Yeah.
result compared to other people. And it's moved on and progressed so much, it seems like. And at first it was just like, am I going to Zwift race? I remember that. I think I remember like,
Right.
I'm not even
I
sure I'm
didn't
going to
think I
Zwift
was
race.
gonna do that. It was, it's been a long process, and I've said a number of times, and I've been completely wrong. Oh, I'm never gonna do that. I got on Zwift for I'm never gonna do Zwift racing, that's just not my thing. Uh, and then I did it, it was fun, and I wasn't very good at it, and then I was okay at it, but it was fun, it's fun, I think you say chasing pixels. And it's safe in and by safe, I mean you can go as hard as you can, and you don't have to worry about literally falling off or going into traffic or looking weird unless you have a webcam on you. Um, you can just you can pour all of yourself in, and the worst that happens is that you can't pedal anymore and you stop, and you're at home, and that really motivated me. I tried this pictures from sadly, it just, went away. I don't know if it will ever come back in the future. The participation was getting lower, but it was a local time trial series, local-ish. It's at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is pretty cool. We just rode around the oval there, the NASCAR oval. And, at first, I was just like, "I'll try it and see what my times are," and, I ended up sort of winning my age group by default because I was the only one who was there enough to get the points because I just kept coming back trying to get better, and, now I'm kind of now that that's gone away, I'm taking a look at other types of racing, and I said maybe this time last year, "Oh, I'm never gonna do a mass start race. I'm never gonna do a crit. That's just not my thing." Um, we'll see. Well, that might change in a few months, so
So like a little bit of a competitive spirit growing through
yeah,
your journey alongside cycling and Zwift. Kind of cool to see that as well.
yeah.
So then, let's see. We have a couple more pictures here that we can go through as well. I think you also
Mhm.
have, though, something in your hands, maybe, or with you that we want to talk. So you ride for Team TFC in game.
Mhm.
You're a moderator for their Facebook group, and you're also a
It's for
moderator
the,
for Zwift Riders as well,
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I'm a moderator for actually the Friday Criterium race series.
Okay.
I was a moderator for Team TFC for a long time, and I may do that again. I stepped down for a bit because I couldn't do some of the things that I wanted to do as sort of part of their admin team. But yeah, I was heavily involved in that too, and the moderator on Zwift Riders, as you
Gotcha.
said.
So you actually have a real life TFC kit with you right now. Okay. So
Hey, Zach.
Zach, she's got one there. If Zach is watching, all the TFC, shout out to TFC. Obviously, we're still waiting for it in game, which is kind of the meme
Yes.
around TFC at
Come
this
on.
point. It almost can never
It's not
go
that
in
hard.
game because it's like iconic at this point that they just won't get
That's
the
yeah.
TFC kit. It's almost like
I
you
feel
should
like they fixed
have
it.
some other kit as a replacement for the TFC kit, because if you put it in game, it just ruins the whole thing almost. But
Right, right. I don't know. Um, that's been an ongoing joke. I Team TFC is great. It's been a blast with them. We started it without of that Friday Criterium race, and I think you used to yeah, you used to commentate it, when it was just for C and D category riders, and so we started out as a team of C and D riders who were coming to that over and over again, and now there are a lot of C and B riders as people have gotten stronger and moved up. We've got some good A riders now and still
I don't
welcome
think you
people of all
qualify any longer either, because people in chat were just
no, not for the
saying
original.
that you did real well in CVR. I was commentating on your crit series with Zwift's crit series as well when you were competing in there, and you were getting some podiums at times. At least, I mean,
Mhm.
there was some pretty amazing results actually coming from the strength that you built up over time. So it's pretty amazing. This is actually this looks
Yeah.
like an old school pic actually that you sent me. What's going on in this picture here?
Yes. This is when workout mode first came out, and I was doing the FTP test to get started on my workouts. I can't remember if I was on Z Power, the classic trainer, or if I was on the Vortex. But either way, you will notice that my number is not particularly high on
Okay, so
either one of those. Um,
this was on Z Power. It looks like
Either Z Power or the Vortex. Yeah, you can see
okay.
it. But I don't know if I have a lightning bolt there or not. I can't see it very well on
I don't
here.
think so. I don't
But
think there's a lightning bolt. No, there's no lightning bolt there for sure.
yes. And I had no sudden power inflation when changing power sources either. So that sort of made me feel good, but then I thought, well, I guess my numbers really are that low. You can see here I had a dropout and kind of surged at the end, but still my next one was 105 or something like that. And it's been um, it's been exciting to see how much I can improve. I was never a very athletic person growing up. I hated gym class. I wasn't good at any sports. And now it's a huge part of my life. It's uh, it's been a real confidence booster, and Zwift has really helped with that because I don't think I would have tried to train near this hard. I wouldn't have tried to ride competitively or ride this much without it. So that's been really great.
That's awesome. Really, really cool. And that's what this is really all about is highlighting those amazing stories that we see out there in the community. So what's up with Calm Down Karissa? What's your take on Calm Down Carissa? Like,
I
is it something that
I don't
bugs
even know
you, or do you like whatever? It's cool, like because I know it's its own meme as well.
Yes. I think it started originally because I would be explaining things in Facebook groups and in Zwift Riders, and people would be disagreeing with me, and on a couple of occasions, I was told to calm down when like, I I didn't understand why. I guess because I was talking too much, which I sometimes do, but, uh, then it just became its own thing, and, yeah, there are probably a lot of instances where I really should calm down, so
Your response
that's
times are
that's
really
probably
good.
accurate.
So that gets us to being a
That could
moderator.
be.
So
Mhm.
Facebook can be a not so calm of a place, right? And I
Yes.
think you do a pretty good job politically almost to keep all the sides of the story and make sure
Mhm.
what make sure everybody's voice is being heard without abusing each other. Essentially, it sounds like what your job is. But what is it
Yeah.
like being a community moderator, especially amongst kind of maybe a lot of Type A, you know, cyclist types that are at least early on, especially in Zwift riders. I think maybe not so much now,
Yes.
but what's it like being a community moderator on Zwift riders? I mean, it's like 40,000 people or whatever. Like,
Yeah. It's actually, with this size of a group, you have so many different levels and, uh, I guess, of users, of cyclists. that I think it's actually meshing a little better than it used to. There used to be a new person would post something and they would immediately get a lot of abuse and not necessarily mean spirited, but just it would be startling if you come in and you're new and you don't know what's going on. And people are just throwing all these sarcastic barbs at you. Um, and at that point, you just have to try to help both sides understand, help the new person understand this is sort of how things work here. This is why people are reacting this way, and try to calm down the existing users to help them be a little kinder to the people who are coming in because at some point we were all new to cycling and
Yep,
to
yep,
Zwift, and we've
yep.
all had silly questions and we've all done weird things sometimes that we shouldn't have done and then broadcasted it to the world. So, um, it's, a lot of it is just helping it to continue to be a useful place for people to go, a useful resource. So when Zwift is down, trying to avoid, 500 posts all saying Zwift is down. When we have a post from somebody at Zwift HQ explaining what's going on, we want to be able to direct everything to there. We want to make sure that I guess people are able to continue to use it for discussion and not just get on there and see the same posts about the same things all the time. And I think we've gotten to a pretty good place now. We'll see what happens when the northern hemisphere starts up with its indoor season again. Um, but it's always interesting that balance between, because we don't want to, and I've been, and there's a couple of us who have been pretty adamant about this. And even Zwift has said, we don't want to stifle like criticism. So if people come in and they have a complaint or they're mad at Zwift, uh, you know, they they should be able to express that. This was a community run group in the first place, community created and led. So sure, if somebody wants to blow off some steam about Zwift, go ahead, but they've got to be respectful and civil and,
Not just slinging mud.
not be
Like,
right,
yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah. Just not insulting, but actually making an actual argument. But
right.
how much time does it take to be a moderator? Like, how often is it actually pinging? Because there's a lot of posts in Zwift Riders. I mean,
Mhm.
and to keep it a place that is managed, I would think, I mean, there's shifts. Like, how does it work? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, there's a lot of us with, different time zones, so I tend to, look at it more when the people over in the UK have, started winding down for bed, and I'll take a look at that time, but also in general throughout the day, just sort of checking to make sure that everything's good. These days, like I said, it typically is. It's when you get the surges of new people joining, when you get something going wrong in Zwift, when you get, recently there was at least one particularly controversial topic that was
yep,
discussed.
yep, yep.
Um, Facebook also has a pretty nice report feature that people are using more. So please do use that if you need to. If somebody's being abusive, if somebody's posting something there that really doesn't belong there, we've had really political discussions started, and we've gotta, get those taken care of pretty quickly because that's not the place to do it. I love a good political discussion, but Zwift Riders is
There's
not
probably other
where to have
groups
them.
for that have nothing to do with
Yes.
Zwift, actually. Zwift's got its own politics
Yes.
going on. You could maybe talk about that, but it has nothing to do with Zwift. Maybe leave that elsewhere. Let's talk about,
Mhm.
lastly, before we move on to the topics for today, a couple more things real quick. What is going on in this picture right here? Looks like you're giving
Okay.
back with cycling a little bit.
Yeah, so this is called the Pedal Factory, the PEDAL, and it's a community bike co-op that's located in Salisbury, North Carolina. I was a member of the founding board. Then I took a step back and am serving as a volunteer and an advisory board member now. And basically, the main focus of it is an earn a bike program where people can come in and um, they can pick out a bike that they want to earn, basically, that we have
We
that
have
needs some
something called
fixing up.
Dream Bikes here that's similar to that.
Yeah. And they put in a certain amount of time, either fixing up that bike, or if that bike doesn't need that much help, just volunteering around the shop, helping to sort parts, break down bikes for parts that are basically not worth saving, and then they can go out of there with their own bike. And we have, in this picture, there are kids, and we make sure that they have helmets when they leave. And, we have people that come in from the local homeless shelter. We have just the person who's interested in finding we've got some cool vintage bikes that come in there every now and then, and, so they'll go and fix it up as a project bike and then give some time back as a volunteer. So it's really cool. It's been really fun to be a part of. I've realized just how much I don't know about bike maintenance in trying to, because the idea is to help people do this themselves, and they'll ask me how to do something, and there's a lot of
You
stuff
need
where
to
I have
earn
to
a
turn
bike.
around and find
Karissa
somebody
needs
else.
to earn a
Right.
bike. That's what needs to
Well,
happen. It
I have
sounds
my own
like.
I have my own project bike that I've been working on for, like, almost 2 years now, and I haven't had time because I've been volunteering, and so I meant to work on that when it was slow, but it's very rarely slow, which is pretty cool.
It's an amazing program.
So
It
we're
does really well here as
Yeah.
well with Dream Bikes. So that's awesome. Really, really cool. Pedal Factory that you're working with there. So
Yes.
great way to be giving back there. That's awesome. Well, let's jump into a few of the topics for the day. Obviously, we chatted about them early, right up front with the intro here. And let's go ahead and see what we're talking about today. So Zwift's new API, and I think this relates a little bit to the initial topic that we talked about. Well, with your racing, you're a racer on Zwift. You've developed a lot through your Zwift journey with racing. I know you're a part of the women's scene as well in a lot of ways. Obviously, I think you participated in Zwift Academy the last 2 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you plan on doing it this year as well?
Yep.
Yeah. Right on.
I hope so.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Zwift Power's been down. The new opt-in is out. Did you know that where to find this? Was this like,
I I saw it in the, Facebook group. Sorry, I had some water go down the wrong pipe here.
no
I
worries.
saw I saw an announcement in a Facebook group. I think, Wes Salmon posted it, but it may be difficult for people to find. I haven't seen an email alert or anything yet, but, I'm excited because it means that something is gonna be happening soon with this, hopefully. But, I don't know how it's gonna work if people don't know how to opt in. If they
Yeah,
wanna join a
that's, I
CVR
think,
race,
kind of a big deal with this. So chat, I'm seeing there's a ton of comments here. I'm going to get to your comments. Actually, there's like pages of them actually. So I appreciate all the comments that have coming through here. Something about an olive industry. I'm not in an olive industry. Something like what's going on. Kim is
What?
going to team draft. Oh, that must be Greg Leo. TFC kits look something you'd wrestle in. Oh my goodness. Chris is strong coming from Allison Duck. Good CVR and postseason. Good to see that. Somebody talking about what Victor Lundquist saying that Brazil just scored there through for sure. What is going on here? Criticism is good. Blake Johnson is saying positive needs to float to the top. Good to see all the comments coming through. So let us know about what are you thinking about the opt-in situation here. It's definitely interesting the way that it has been, announced. It's out there now. But a lot of people, I think, I don't know if a lot of people even know that this exists, that my.zwift.com exists. I forget that it's even there. You know what I mean? So the ability to find it, I think that it might be a good idea to have the opt-in also maybe in game. It's
Yeah.
but it's obviously there now. You can opt in to the Zwift Power, the CVR World Cup, and just Zwift GPS. From what we heard on the Zwiftcast, it sounds like those are the only three for right now, for a while probably, that are going to be a part of the backend API. We also see all these other connections, obviously, that you can connect to. Now, what's interesting is there's a connection and then there's an opt-in. So when you read the language, connect your accounts, right? Enjoy all the benefits of the Zwift fitness apps by pairing them with Zwift. Connecting data means one less thing for you to do, leaving more time for Zwifting. So it says that at the top of your connections. But then the opt-ins are connect to share your performance, profile, event data. By opting in, you will be publicly sharing your gender, country, weight, height, name, and heart rate. And this is in response directly to the GDPR, right? So, I mean, if we talk about this a little bit, I'd love to know what the community has to say about this. It's interesting. If there's opinions out there, comments out there, I'd love to hear them about how the GDPR thing is working out there, what your, take is on the Zwift Power thing. I actually up front was like not quite as understanding and like this just doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, like there's laws now on the books. If something's iffy, like make sure everything's well taken care of, because there's a reality of like things can just get shut down.
Right. I think this is how they should have been doing it all along. That's the idea. And it took this change in the law for them to, I guess, put it together in this more formal way of opting in and connecting these services, because it was a little bit of a wild west before. And while that encouraged people to experiment and create these services, I think it's time for them to grow up. And I just wish it could have done it without interrupting the service. But I guess that's a reality of where we're at, and hopefully they're moving forward soon.
Yeah, I think there was a reality of like you could just put watchers out on course and collect the data from those watchers. Like initially, the way that Zwift Power, CVR, anybody who is out there collecting data, the reality is like if you're in that open world, and this was part of my criticism I had in the Zwiftcast, was like if you're in that open world, and other avatars need to see your data to interact with them, then you can see that data somehow, it would seem like, right? So, there's a, and that's how all these people were able to collect that up front. From what I'm understanding, that's going to go away actually. And the only access that will be there now at this point will be through these opt-ins, which does actually make a lot of sense. Like you said, it was a little bit of Wild West. But just like, I really think for people to know that this even exists and the ability to do it, it needs to be a little more front and center. Like I open up the app, here's my connections. Like, I'm looking at the connections here and I'm like, oh yeah, I can connect Training Peaks and Today's Plan and Map My Run and Withings and Fitbit and Techno Gym and Garmin. Like those connections aren't super obvious up front, where like it should be maybe on the applications somehow, rather than going to my.zwift.com. It's like or a reminder somewhere, maybe in the app. I don't know. Like, it just seems
Yeah, and I'm wondering how it's going to work when the races start. And I guess we'll see pretty soon. But if you're going into a race that has results tallied by Zwift Power, you're entering a CBR race, is the game going to notify you? Or are you just going to enter and just run around the race and you go look for your results and you can't find them, which is basically what's happening now. But
that is
I don't know.
basically
I'm having trouble
what is
imagining.
happening now, actually, which is
Oh
fun.
yeah, it's interesting racing on Zwift currently. I saw you jumped on earlier. I jumped in a race yesterday.
Yeah, I was racing today. I have no idea what the actual results should have been
Yeah.
afterwards, because the community websites have done such a good job of tracking some things and making sure some things are legit or not legit. And Zwift doesn't want to they've said we don't want to disqualify people. Like that's not our job, right? They want people to ride their program, right? So since these are community organized events, we need a community organized place to govern the racing and govern their events and stuff. And so essentially the WBR race I did this morning, I have no idea what my placing was except for what Zwift showed me afterwards. But it's not a Zwift organized event. Zwift hosts the event on their platform, but the actual people who are governing it is WBR or whoever the race organizer is on ZwiftPower.com or on CVR with CVR League or whatever it might be. So it's I'm glad that it's taking place. It's really good that it's getting moved along, but at the same time, it was definitely like you said, it's a good advancement. That's what we'll leave it at there. We do see some other things coming through here. Yeah, sorry about so we see all kinds of stuff coming through here. Allison saying that she wants to be the only one that wins because she's the only one who opted in to a race, actually. So Allison's looking for the W's because she's the only one who opts in.
Yeah.
Greg is saying Zor S is currently ranked number 1 in Greg's private and subjective Zwift ranking, and he's ranked number 34. Thanks a lot for that banter there, Greg. All right, back under the chop. Next up, will the chop take over Zwift? All right, so these have been killing it. They've been one of the most popular races every week so far, being covered live on ZCL as well as Zwift on Thursdays. 7 p.m., 7:10 p.m. is when the start is. Looks like they're getting some, maybe some sponsorship or some partnership there with Pushies there. They're partnered up with WBR, World Bicycle Relief, as part of the organization, actually, so that's pretty cool. Handicap racing or cat and mouse racing, the A's start first, the D's start first, then the C's, then the B's, then the A's, and they all chase each other. You've done some of this racing. What do you think of it, Karissa?
Yeah, I haven't joined the shop specifically. I'd really like to after hearing the description of it. But I've done other similar races, the cat and mouse or fox and hound or whatever you want to call it. Um, and it is really fun. Assuming everybody is categorized well, and even if there's a little bit of kind of fudging at the ends, it's a little less of a problem than it is in normal style races because you everybody gets to be involved at the front basically. Everybody gets to be involved in the action of the race. And that is really neat to realize that um, you could win the race. You could place high even if there's a bunch of people who are stronger than you. Um, behind you, chasing you down. If you work together well with the people around you, if you have the right strategy, if it's a lot of fun, and I love these different race formats. Um, I think it would be awesome if there was some integrated tools to help create even more interesting race formats like this. But this is one way that you can do it in Zwift now that really it does involve anybody can get in and do it and be a real part of the race. I think
I
that's
think
great.
so. Like this whole idea of a team aspect, right? Like this actually creates it where there is some team racing and you're able to kind of work for each other a little bit, but because of the way that the drafting works currently and the way that the blob, as we call it on Zwift, works, you can see the blob actually chasing down the other blob right now. And I think right now the D's, the C's, the B's, the A's all working against each other in this kind of a way gives everybody a role to play in that massive pack that can work together. And there is actually some working together in a large pack like that with enough riders.
Oh yeah,
you can get that. And so I think this is a circumstance where working with what we currently have in the development of Zwift to make team racing a reality, right? And to make a common objective, right? Like I compared it to, if we wanted a PvE situation, like a player versus an environment situation, or a PvP situation like this, everybody's trying to push as much watts as they possibly can together at certain times when they're on the front to get the speed as high as it can possibly be, taking poles over and over again to keep away from those who are chasing you down. And this is super popular down in Australia from what I'm told. Wes and Ben all told me as well that, like, this is one of the first races they got involved with. And it's just a format where it involves everybody and everybody feels like they can play a role. And that's one way that the elite racing and the A coverage of racing in the ZCL that we see, with the Zwift Community Live races, we've noticed. We've gotten the feedback and we see it as well. That's why we covered TFC as well early on, was like B and C. But then it's like, how many races are we going to cover? And it's like A, B, C, and D, and there's like 50 races to cover. Oh my
Right.
gosh, so putting it all into one race where everybody who joins the race feels like they have something to add. Down the road, I'd like to see a situation where there's abilities or different kinds of things that people can do to get toward the same objectives. But I think that with what there is out there, like I was saying, this is where you can actually, you jump into a B or a C race at Caliber Rider and you're racing against the A's and you still have an opportunity to win.
Right. And I think it especially if you are in a race that I've noticed this most with the races that combine all the categories together in one start, but it happens in separate categories too. Down at the lower end or even the back end of just any category, you start having a lot of people doing their individual time trials at the back of the race. Not really. There's not that element of hi there. There's not that element of working together
We did the
as a
wrong scene.
team.
Sorry. Production fault. Production's fault. Go on, Karissa. Interrupting everything.
There's not uh, actually, there's not that element of doing working together as a team sometimes, which is actually what I liked originally about joining TFC was that there were a lot of us around the same ability level, so we could really help each other out, um, just to each get the best race that we can. And, so yeah, I think that's great to encourage people to use that dynamic more and work together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, guys, tomorrow, if you're, you know, 7, what time is it? 7:10 p.m. AST. Now, here, that's like 4
Oh
a.m., I
gosh.
think, or something. Like, so I'm
Mhm.
not doing this race. Maybe we need to encourage
Yes.
maybe KISS, CVR, or WBR, maybe since they're hooked up with WBR to maybe hosting some, American time zone and European time
I think
zone
they used to
chops,
have it. Yeah.
or cat and mouse kind of thing, because I think it'd be kind of be interesting to throw down with that. Chat, if you're interested in that, let us know. I want to see the comments in there if you'd be interested in doing these kind of races. Maybe we can get some feedback about that. Greg saying maybe a points race integration. I heard someone bring up points racing at some point. Let's see here. Greg says he doesn't like them, but he loves Kim Little. All right, well, that's an interesting comment for sure as well. Let us know what you think about this kind of racing, though. But next up on the topics today, this was a big one. This was interesting, and it makes me think about cycling. But Zwift's getting into hardware. They acquired Milestone. What's going on there? You were chatting about that. I think we need some Shane Miller. We need some GP Llama on
Yes.
on this one. Is who we need. I'm trying to kick his butt out of bed at whatever time it is over there in Australia right now. I'm pretty sure it's like 6 a.m. And I was like, dude, well, you want to come on the program at like 5 or 6 a.m. because that's our like key time that I do broadcasts. And he was like, I think he just rolled his eyes and didn't actually answer my chat. But interesting, early on it was like software. That's what we do. I had some thoughts in my heads about like, is this like signaling that the hardware isn't moving fast enough? But this has nothing to do with cycling, because I've seen like so much desire for a smart bike, or I've seen a lot of desire for like all-in-one solutions. Now this doesn't have anything to do with that, but maybe it's getting feet wet or something. I don't know. Like, what are you seeing here with the Milestone? I mean, running needs a
Yeah.
kickstart.
I, am not a runner. I'm going to avoid saying that I'm never going to run because then, next year I'll be, like, doing 5Ks and 10 I don't know. But but, I don't know. I think part of me likes that it's a little more convenient for people to get going and, whatever helps to lower those barriers, but I don't know about Zwift getting into hardware. It makes me think about certain other companies that also are into hardware for indoor cycling, and, I don't want Zwift to spread itself too thin, I think is my concern,
Well, they
because
purchased somebody
right
else though
now.
that is
Right,
probably going to have independent stuff going on. You know what I mean?
right,
Not fully independent. They're purchased, they're acquired, right? But at the same
right,
time,
but,
they
my
probably saw
concern is for
something
the
cool there.
future.
You know? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, gotcha. Well,
It's as you were saying, what does this signify? Does this mean that it's going to be a trend that Zwift is going to start offering its own trainer? Its own speed and cadence sensors. There's or was this just an opportunity that presented itself and they thought, well, we might as well do that, and it made business sense. I don't
well,
know.
seeing things that can advance the market too and encourage it forward might be a part of the motivation too. Like um, with Mixer's actually a great, I think, example where it was Beam and it needed some encouragement. And from every way that I've seen the interaction from Microsoft to Beam to turning into Mixer to supporting those who created Mixer and have continued to be in charge of development of it, they've simply gotten encouragement to do what they're really good at and gotten the resources and have made an amazing platform. So, I'm hoping it's a similar thing where Zwift is able to encourage their own business, obviously, by getting a better product out there for running, and developing it, and maybe it signifies more of that in other spaces with. I mean, I'm not shying away.
Yeah.
I've been hammering on Twitter a little bit here and there about I need some better solutions on the trainer, and I've been maybe complaining a little bit here and there about dropouts or something, and
Mhm.
so there's been like and I haven't shied away from it as well in Swiftcast about the reality of like why don't we have a smart bike in every gym with Zwift on it around the
Right.
entire world right now? Like localization is a huge thing, right? Like, and if you are in a gym with a screen on a bike and somebody shows up, what's this? Well, I can do this at home, like this
Yeah.
is amazing. Or I can just come here and ride this, and all I need is an account, and I'll ride it all the time with all these people. And so, I mean, um, that encouragement, I think there's a little bit of like tapping the foot, maybe even from Zwift, like let's go. I
Mhm.
don't know. That's just me looking in from the outside, but
I will say that, I agree with some of your sentiments that you've said. If Zwift can somehow make it so that we can have a wired trainer again, I'm all for that. If whatever they can do to influence that, it's, yeah. I don't know why we don't have one. I really don't. It's oh, the dropouts and watching them, especially during races, um, is just painful. It really is.
Allison's saying
But,
that she would use a pod if she could use it at the gym, but doesn't want a treadmill at home. And Zwift said,
oh, yeah.
Greg Leo says I have no problem with Zwift focusing on running. They won't forget us. They are cyclists. And Kenny says use it at the track. Have one of those kids run around with it. Kenny is saying as well. So, and then Greg Leo saying Shane Miller's the god of hardware. Well, maybe we'll get him on next week. We'll see how that goes. So, well, those are the topics for the week. Karissa, maybe we'll have you back on next week to go over some of
Mhm.
these things, maybe as a co-host. We'll see if that can keep on happening, and we'll find some new guests. A couple other things, some other shout outs. Obviously, the chop is going on tomorrow, guys. Jumping on that if you're in Australia and just waking up and seeing this. The other thing that we do want to shout out, there's a new community. Do you have any experience with paracycling at all, or anybody in that community at all, Carissa?
I don't know.
No. Well, there's a new community out there in the Facebook world. It is the Zwift paracycling community. And if you haven't checked that out already, and you are part of the paracycling community at all, make sure to check that out. They're actually making a big push with the hand cycling world. I think we're going to try and get them on, get somebody from that whole paracycling community on as a guest here, but if you do know people who are in the paracycling community at large, or paracyclists who are on Zwift and want to get involved with that community, make sure that they know about that group, because it is growing. The guy who started, Daniel, he is amazing. I've been in contact with him a little bit, very motivated, newer to Zwift, and the doors that it is opening up to that community specifically to be able to ride with others that are like them in Zwift and open up their opportunities and enable them has been really, really cool to see. So make sure to go check that out and let your friends know who might be involved in that community. Get the word out there. Karissa, thanks so much for coming on to the Weekly Wind Up this week. It's been great having you here, and we'll see you out adminning, taking care, making sure that we're all behaving out there. And everybody, make sure, let's get a lot of calm down Karissas in the chat right now. Karissa, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. That's it for the weekly wind up here. We'll be back tomorrow, obviously, with the chop, and I'll be here with the KISS European race. I know you guys have all been waiting for some commentary on that. So KISS EU tomorrow, 2 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. British summertime. So make sure to be here for that tomorrow. Thanks, everybody in chat. Absolutely loved all of your comments. And as always, everybody, right on.